good, people? Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for me. So, is Moses Itauma unnerved, perturbed, even a bit intimidated by Filip Hrgovic? So, I just finished watching the face-to-face joint interview between Moses Itauma and Filip Hrgovic, who are now fighting for the IBF heavyweight title, which was vacated by Usyk a few months ago. So, watching the interview, there's not a lot to be taken away from it, in my opinion. And I think because Moses has been punch perfect his entire career, he's aced every test that's been in front of him so far. People are naturally going to look for the flaws. Now, I do think it's fair to question his CV. It is very thin, right? His best win to date is against Jermaine Franklin, a guy who is really only known for losing to world level fighters, right? This guy has lost every time he has faced a world level opponent, right? A washed up Dillian White and a slightly past his prime Anthony Joshua. And both of those fights he lost, right? The Dillian White fight was a little competitive, but Dillian still won that fight clearly, right? It's just, people are giving Jermaine extra credit because he's a likable guy and because he exceeded expectations. But Moses has not faced anyone that has presented him any sort of challenge. So Filip Hrgovic is right in that regard, to bring up the fact that Moses has never been tested. And there's something to be said about that, right? If you've ever been to a boxing gym, you'll encounter flat track bullies. You'll encounter guys who enjoy boxing when they can beat up on weaker and less experienced opponents. But the second they get hit with a good shot, they want to take their ball and go home, right? We've all seen the cocky guy, the ex-football player, right? American football, that is, the ex-basketball player. They come into the gym, they're cocky, they're strong, they're athletic, right? They have all the right attributes, but they don't have the minerals. So they get touched up one spar, you never see them again, right? That happens all the time. That's kind of an unwritten rule in a boxing gym, right? If you get beat up or even if you get knocked out, health permitting, you need to be at the gym within a day or two, or people are gonna kind of write you off. Like, they're not gonna take you seriously. The guys who are serious about the sport stick with it even when they take a beating. And at least in the professional ranks and the unprofessional ranks, the unprofessional code, Moses Itauma has never been in a war. Now, we saw this kind of with Ben Whitaker, right? And I'm not saying or predicting that Moses is a Ben Whitaker, but I think they kind of had similar trajectories, right? Ben Whitaker went all the way to the Olympics. I think he lost in the gold medal match, right? So stellar Olympic career, amateur career that is, winning an Olympic silver medal, awesome achievement. Goes into the pros and everything was easy for him. Now, Ben Whitaker, of course, likes to showboat and taunt his opponents, which I don't have a problem with, right? If a guy's taunting you in the ring, go punch him in the face. Go punch him in the liver. Stop crying about it. But Ben Whitaker had every fight his own way until he ran into Liam Cameron. And once he ran into Liam Cameron, in that first fight, he kind of, in my opinion, was looking for a way out because it was getting uncomfortable. It was starting to get hot in the kitchen and he wasn't prepared for it. And since that fight, he hasn't faced any stiff competition. It's been tomato can after tomato can. They're playing it really safe with him. And it doesn't seem like he's being prepared for world level. It seems like he's almost being protected and guided away from dangerous and challenging fights, at least for the foreseeable future. So we are interested in seeing this Filip Hrgovic fight because Hrgovic is durable, right? He has demonstrated that he has world level endurance now in his last few fights by training with, I'm forgetting the guy's name. The guy trained Golovkin, it'll come to me, but they train in Big Bear, California at elevation. And it seems to have really improved Hrgovic's stamina, right? And that's married along with the fact that he has a world level chin. I think he has good power. He stands too upright, which is why I don't think he gets as many knockouts as he should. I wish he would bend his knees a little bit more to have a little bit better balance. And I think he could get more weight on his shots if he did that. But he still has respectable power. I mean, Dave Allen is not chinless, right? And he was able to put a beating on him and basically have the corner throwing the towel after just a few rounds. So Hrgovic is going to be a stiff test. He's battle tested, right? He's got the scars, and maybe that's the way Itauma wins. I hope he wins by actually stopping him, so there are no excuses. But Itauma is in for a stiff challenge, and it remains to be seen whether or not he can actually handle pressure from a world level guy, whether he can handle getting hit with combinations when he hasn't really been touched at all. And that seemed to be a major back and forth between Hrgovic and Itauma. You know, Itauma seemed to say that there's nothing to be proud of when your chin is tested and you pass the test, right? You pass the chin test. You shouldn't celebrate the fact that you have a good chin, right? If your chin is constantly being tested, it means you have poor defense. And while that sounds great in theory, I mean, and it's kind of coming from a younger guy, you know, he's like 21. It sounds great in theory. The reality is everybody gets hit in boxing, even the greatest defensive fighters, right? Go watch Floyd Mayweather versus Shane Mosley. Mayweather got rocked to his boots, right? Nearly went over by Shane Mosley. But he demonstrated world level heart. He regrouped and he was able to win the fight on points, right? So we do need to see that because you're gonna get hit as you move into world level heavyweight. This is world level, right? This fight is for a title. So you're moving into that realm now where you really have to have the heart. You can have all the skills, you can have all the technique, you can have all the physical attributes, but what happens when you get cracked in the jaw? Are you gonna fold, or are you gonna show resilience? Are you gonna show backbone? Are you gonna show balls? We need to see this. We need to see this because his career is not gonna be punch perfect. As gifted as he is, there are other young guys who I think will give him problems, right? I was watching what's that Irish dude's name? His name will come to me. Olanian, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's half Irish, half Nigerian, big, tall guy. I was really impressed watching him last week on the O'Leary undercard, right? Very fluid puncher. Leo Tang, he's young. I think he's a little ways back in his development. I don't think he's as skillful as the other two. And then you have guys like Daniel Dubois, you have Caballero, right? So Itauma now needs to prove that he can deal with an onslaught of punches, that he can take some shots, that he is not the guy that's gonna fold. I think it's important that we see that. I'm not saying that he doesn't have it, but it remains to be seen. His heart has not been tested, right? And it seemed like that's kind of gotten under his skin, right? Hrgovic, he's kind of funny, right? He's kind of got a dry, witty, condescending sense of humor, kind of dark. I actually find him funny, right? And English is his second language. So it's pretty impressive to be able to convey that sense of humor in your second language. But Itauma does seem to be bothered by it. So it'll be interesting to see. Is he going to come out overly aggressive and perhaps make a mistake where he gets countered and gets caught? You know, Hrgovic isn't really a counter puncher, right? He's front foot. He's coming with a heavy jab, straight right hand, chopping right hand, right hooks, left hooks. He's very basic, right? What you see is what you get from Filip Hrgovic. He's a big, strong guy who boxes like a big, strong guy. Solid fundamentals, but there's nothing fancy about him. So is Itauma really vulnerable to getting counterpunched? Maybe not, but Hrgovic is someone who can take a shot. Now, your chin doesn't last forever, right? We've seen great fighters in a plethora of combat sports just become chinless overnight because they sustain too much damage to the head. But so far, Hrgovic has demonstrated the best chin in the heavyweight division, right? You never even really seen him get wobbled. The one knockdown of his career was a clear push that the referee miscalled when he fought Zhilei Zhang. It was like a cuffing shot where Zhang clearly pushed him to the ground. So Hrgovic does have the best chin in boxing. So what happens when Itauma lands a left hand and Hrgovic is still there? He's touching him to the body. Hrgovic is still there. Is he going to just capitulate? Or is he going to be someone that shows that he has the minerals, the resolve, and the composure, right? That's a big criticism of Anthony Joshua, is when he gets whacked with a good shot, he loses his composure and can sometimes panic, right? Moses has looked calm, but again, he hasn't faced any real pressure in the ring. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I'm still going to steal it, though. I refuse to pay these rapacious pay-per-views. You know, the Shekel Mafia, they want to rinse us fans, but I'm not going to have it. So I'm just going to find a stream for sure for this fight coming up and definitely check out the highlights because, yeah, fuck these pay-per-views. They're not getting me. It's not happening anymore. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Peace.